Did you know that the tiniest choices you make each morning could quietly steal a decade from your healthy, vibrant life? You wake up, slip into the same chair, sip the same coffee, and slowly, without any warning, your world begins to feel smaller, quieter, emptier. Not because you're getting older, but because somewhere along the way, something inside you simply stopped reaching forward. In this video, I'm going to reveal 9 hidden mistakes that slowly sabotage your later years and how you can reverse them with simple, doable shifts you can start today. These aren't huge, overwhelming changes, but they could protect your joy, your dignity, and even your independence for years to come. Don't wait until your body sends you a wake-up call. Your mind, your health, and your spirit deserve your attention now. Before we begin, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from, and what time is it for you right now? And if something in this message touches your heart, just type the word HOPE below. Also, if you find value in this, hit subscribe so you won't miss more practical, powerful tips for a longer, happier life. Alright, let's dive into the very first silent mistake, one that might already be happening in your own living room. Mistake 1. Believing your passion disappears with age. I hear it so often, I'm too old for that now. Whether it's painting, gardening, playing music, or writing stories somewhere along the road, many people quietly set those passions down and never pick them back up. Not because the love faded, but because life got busy, and eventually, they convinced themselves those parts of life no longer belonged to them. But here's the truth. Passion doesn't die when you turn 78, fades when you stop feeding it. I once met Mr. Harold, a retired postman from Ohio. In his younger years, he played the guitar every evening. But then, life happened. His wife passed, his kids moved away. For 15 long years, the guitar sat untouched in the corner of his living room. One day, his granddaughter asked him, "Grandpa, what made you happy when you were my age?" That single question woke something up inside him. At first, his fingers were stiff, the notes a little off, but the smile on his face, that was pure and real. And science backs it up. According to the Mayo Clinic, older adults who keep learning new things or engage in creative hobbies show a 30% lower risk of memory decline. So no, it's not too late. In fact, now is the perfect time. Your passion doesn't need to be big, polished, or perfect. It just needs to be yours. Maybe it's writing postcards, baking old family recipes, sketching flowers in the garden, or even kitchen 2 songs from your youth. These aren't silly hobbies, they're medicine for the soul. So here's my challenge. Today, try one thing you used to love, not to impress anyone, not to be good at it, but just to feel like yourself again. And if something comes to mind, a hobby, a memory, a dream, share it in the comments. Or simply type HOPE if you're ready to bring joy back into your days. Because the real mistake isn't getting older, it's forgetting that you're still alive. Mistake 2. Depending too much on your children for emotional connection. Now, don't misunderstand me, it's completely natural to miss your kids. You love them, you raised them, and when they moved out, a piece of your heart stayed with them. Of course you look forward to their visits, their calls, and the sweet sound of your grandchild's laughter. But here's where it turns quietly painful. When that becomes your only source of joy. I remember Miss Carol, 72, from Wisconsin. Every Sunday, she waited for her daughter to call. When the phone didn't ring, her whole day felt gray. When it did, even a quick 5-minute chat lit her up. But over time, the calls became fewer. The visits were more rushed, and she started to feel invisible, like her entire world had shrunk to the size of a phone screen. That's the danger. When we tie our happiness too tightly to people who are busy living their own lives, we risk feeling forgotten. Not because they don't love us, but because we've forgotten to build a life outside of them. Research from Harvard Health shows that older adults with wider social networks, not just family, but friends, neighbors, and community groups, 5 to 7 years longer. And those years are better. They laugh more, move more, worry less. Why? Because connection isn't only about family, it's about belonging. And you, my friend, still have so much to give to the world. You don't need to join a big club or make 10 new friends overnight. Start small. Call that neighbor you used to chat with at the mailbox. Send a funny postcard to an old friend. Join a book club. Take a short weekly walk in the park. These tiny, consistent moments fill your heart. They remind you your life is still wide, vibrant, and worth living, not just waiting on someone else's schedule. And when you do, reconnect with the world, something beautiful happens. You actually enjoy your time with your kids more. Because it's no longer the only thing keeping your heart full. We just talked about the importance of not depending solely on your children for happiness. So let me ask you, who's one person you could reach out to this week? Maybe a friend, a neighbor, or someone you haven't spoken to in years. If someone comes to mind, share it below. Or simply type HOPE in the comments. In the next part, we'll explore a habit that begins in the body but quietly seeps into the mind, more than you realize. Mistake 3. Thinking it's too late to care for your body. It's so easy to say, what's the point now? After all, you've lived a full life. You've worked hard, raised a family, survived challenges most people will never know. And maybe, deep down, a part of you thinks, my body's been through enough, why bother? But friend, That's exactly when your body needs your kindness. The most I remember talking to Mr. Ron, 78, a retired carpenter from Oregon. In his younger years, he was always on his feet building, fixing, moving, but after his wife passed, everything changed. He stopped cooking. Meals became whatever was as crackers, microwave dinners, and he spent most of his days sitting in silence. When I asked why, he shrugged. I'm old. It doesn't matter anymore. But only 6 months later, he struggled to climb his own porch steps and began forgetting small things. That's when it hit him. Maybe it did matter after all. Science agrees. According to the Cleveland Clinic, just 20 minutes of walking a day can cut a senior's risk of stroke by nearly 40%. 20 minutes. That's just a slow stroll around the block, or wandering gently through the garden with a cup of tea. Yes, aging changes the body. It slows, stiffens, and needs more rest. But here's the secret. It also listens. It responds to small acts of care: a stretch before breakfast, a glass of water instead of soda, choosing warm soup over a bag of chips. You don't need a gym membership or special clothes. You just need the will to move, even if it's a little, and the belief that you are worth the effort, because you are. This body has carried you through decades of life. It deserves to be strong enough for the moments you still want to enjoy, whether that's walking in the park with your grandkids or simply getting out of bed without pain. So, let me ask you, what's one small thing you can do for your body today? Even something as simple as standing up right now and stretching your arms, it counts. And if you're ready to give your body a little love again, type hope in the comments. Mistake for saving money for someday and forgetting to live today. This one feels smart, but it quietly keeps joy locked outside your door. I think of Miss Edna, 75, from Pennsylvania. She worked hard all her life, raising 3 kids on a single income. She rarely bought anything for herself and clipped coupons, like it was a competitive sport. By the time she retired, she had more than enough saved, but she still lived as if she were barely getting by, her clothes worn thin, her meals plain and simple. When I asked why she didn't treat herself, even to something small, she smiled and said, I'm saving it, just in case. Here's the quiet tragedy. Edna was saving her joy for a tomorrow that never came. A study published by AIRP found that spending money with intention on small pleasures like fresh flowers, a painting class, or hiring help for chores can actually lower feelings of depression in older adults. It doesn't have to be extravagant, it just needs to be purposeful. Money in the bank is a comfort. It represents safety, but when we guard it so tightly that life can't get in, we start to shrink. We trade color for caution, comfort for control. And before we realize it, we're alive, but not really living. You didn't work all those years just to count every dollar. You worked so that one day, you could enjoy the fruits of that effort. So buy the nice pastry. Take the short trip. Say yes to a small pleasure that brightens your day, not because it's practical, but because you matter. Let me ask gently, when was the last time you spent money just to feel good, not to fix a problem or pay a bill, but simply to smile, to feel proud, or to enjoy something beautiful? If it's been too long, maybe today is the day to change that. Even a bouquet for your kitchen table can shift the way your home and your heart feels. And if this resonates with you, type hope in the comments, because sometimes hope shows up in a warm cup of coffee, a comfortable chair, or a fresh slice of pie. Up next, we'll talk about something just as powerful and why starting over has nothing to do with age, but everything to do with one quiet, brave decision. Mistake 5, believing it's too late to start again. Maybe you've said it to yourself before, that ship has sailed, or I missed my chance. It's an easy thought to believe, especially after retirement, after the kids have moved away, after the routines have settled in like old wallpaper. But here's what you might not know. Even in our 70s or 80s, the brain still craves growth. Research from the University of California shows that older adults can continue learning, adapting, and forming new habits well into their 90s as long as they have purpose and curiosity. I remember meeting Mr. James, 81, from North Carolina. After his wife passed away, he spent nearly 2 years mostly alone. His days were quiet, canned soup for dinner, the same TV shows on repeat, and in his mind, he decided, this is just how life is now. Then, at his grandson's suggestion, he signed up for a watercolor painting class at the local community center. On the first day, he nearly turned around at the door, but he stayed in. Something unexpected happened. He laughed. He made new friends. He started looking forward to Tuesdays again. Starting over doesn't have to mean packing up and moving across the country. It doesn't require a dramatic life overhaul. It can be as gentle as trying something new, stretching in the morning, learning a recipe you've never cooked before, volunteering a few hours at the library, or finally opening that book you've had sitting on the shelf for years. The real problem isn't age. It's the belief that age means the end of becoming. That mindset quietly closes doors that are still wide open. And when we don't challenge it, we risk drifting, letting our days blur together, our purpose fade, and our joy grow quiet. But here's the good news. Even a single small choice can bring color back to a gray day. So, let me ask, what's one thing you've always wanted to try but told yourself it was too late for? Think about it now. And if something comes to mind, share it in the comments. Or simply type hope if you're ready to open a new door for yourself. Because tomorrow doesn't have to be a copy of today. And the next chapter of your story could be the most meaningful yet. Mistake 6. Living the same day over and over. This one can sneak up on you. It starts out feeling safe, peaceful, even. You wake up, make your coffee, sit in the same chair, watch the same show. And before you realize it, the days start to blur together. Something inside you begins to dim. I remember Mrs. Helen, 79, from Missouri. She told me, I used to know it was Tuesday because of Bible study. Now I only know it's Sunday when the church bells ring down the road. She wasn't sad. She wasn't ill. But her world had quietly shrunken. That's what made her feel like she was slowly disappearing. Here's the thing. According to research from Johns Hopkins, a lack of novelty in daily life can lead to faster memory loss and even disorientation. In older adults, when our brains stop encountering new experiences, they get lazy. And when that happens, we lose track not only of time but of ourselves. Now, I'm not telling you to take up a brand new hobby every week. This isn't about filling your schedule with big, complicated changes. It's about tiny, intentional shifts, walking a different route in the morning, calling someone you haven't spoken to in years, listening to a new kind of music while folding laundry. These small changes send a message to your brain. I'm still here. I'm still learning. I still care. It could be as simple as rearranging the furniture in your living room or trying a soup recipe you've never made before. You don't have to climb a mountain, you just have to give your mind something unfamiliar to notice. So let me ask you, when was the last time you did something small for the very first time? If it's been a while, that's okay. But maybe today is the day to break the pattern. And if you're ready to reawaken your days, type hope in the comments. Because life doesn't end when we retire, it simply waits for us to start paying attention again. Coming up next, we'll talk about the people in your life and why some relationships quietly drain more of your energy than you realize. Sometimes, without even realizing it, we make choices that quietly drain our spirit. Mistake 7 is one of those choices, something we rarely admit out loud. Yet it weighs on us deeply, holding on to toxic relationships out of fear of being alone. Loneliness is real. I won't pretend it's not. Every one of us longs for someone to talk to laugh with, to simply remind us that we exist. But sometimes, in that deep need for connection, we keep people in our lives who leave us feeling worse than before. That's not comfort, that's emotional exhaustion wearing a friendly mask. I once met Mr. Walter, 73, from Ohio. Every week he had lunch with an old friend from his factory days. Yet after each visit, Walter came home tired, not from walking, but from absorbing endless complaints and subtle jabs about his life choices. He once told me, I don't even enjoy it anymore, but we've been friends for 40 years. What else would I do? That kind of habit doesn't break you in a day. It chips away at you slowly, quietly, until one day you notice you're lighter in all the wrong ways. Here's something worth remembering. Just because someone has been in your life for a long time doesn't mean they're good for your life today. According to the National Institute on Aging, chronic stress, even from social interactions, can raise your risk of heart problems, disrupt your sleep, and weaken your immune system. It's not just emotional, it's physical now. I'm not saying you have to cut people off or rebuild your life from scratch, but you have every right to protect your peace. You're allowed to say, this conversation no longer makes me feel good, or I need some space right now. Setting a boundary isn't always the end of a relationship. Sometimes it's the beginning of a healthier one. The older we get, the more precious our energy becomes. You don't need a crowd. You just need a few people who remind you of your worth, not people who drain it. So ask yourself gently, is there someone you've been holding on to simply because you're afraid of what will happen if you let go? You deserve relationships that make you feel safe, heard, and liked. If this resonates with you, type the word hope in the comments, not just for new people, but for new peace. And speaking of peace, in the next part, we'll go deeper into something many of us overlook entirely, because just like the body, your spirit needs care too. Mistake 8 is one we often don't even notice, yet it can leave us feeling hollow inside, neglecting your spiritual life. You care for your home, you take your medicine, you try to eat well, but let me ask you gently, when was the last time you sat quietly and asked yourself, how is my soul doing? Not your blood pressure, not your joints, your soul. I once spoke with Miss Ella Lahner, 77, from Colorado. For years she began, every morning writing in her journal, nothing elaborate, just a few thoughts, a quiet prayer, or a childhood memory. But when her husband became ill, that simple ritual faded away. Life got busy, her days filled with tasks. Years later she told me, I didn't realize how much I missed it until the day I finally wrote again. I cried for half an hour, not out of sadness, but because I finally felt myself again. It's easy to believe spiritual life is optional, especially as we age. But the truth is, your soul needs nourishment too. According to the National Institutes of Health, older adults with an active spiritual life, whether through faith, meditation, gratitude, or simply connecting with nature, have up to a 25% lower risk of depression and anxiety. And no, spiritual health doesn't have to mean religion. It It can be as simple as sitting with your morning tea and listening to the wind, lighting a candle for someone you miss, or whispering a few words of thanks before bed. Your inner world matters, because when the soul stays quiet too long, we lose touch with wonder, with purpose, with peace, and you deserve all three. So today, I invite you to return home, not to a place, but to yourself. Pick up a notebook, listen to a calming song, say a prayer, or wander slowly through your garden with no phone, no rush, just presence. If your spirit has been waiting for you, this is your moment to answer. And if you're ready to reconnect, even in a small way, type hope in the comments. Let it be a gentle promise to yourself. Mistake 9 is the one that slowly flattens the colors of your world, believing there's nothing left to discover. I've heard so many older friends say, it with a tired smile, the best parts of life are behind me. And I understand why. You've seen so much, endured so much, celebrated, lost, grown, survived. It's easy to feel like your story has already been told, and now all that's left is to simply watch the pages turn. But what if that thought is quietly stealing something precious? Mrs. Jean, 76, once told me she hadn't felt a sense of wonder in years until her great-grandson asked, "Grandma, have you ever made banana bread from scratch?" She laughed and said no. That afternoon, the two of them ended up covered in flour, laughing over a loaf that sank in the middle. Later, she told me, I hadn't felt that alive in a very long time. Discovery doesn't have to mean booking a trip or making big changes. According to Psychology and Aging, some of the richest emotional and spiritual insights, forgiveness, meaning, quiet joy, tend to deepen after age 65. That means right now might be the best time to explore, not just the world, but yourself. New doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be as gentle as watching the sun rise from a different window, trying a new tea flavor, or noticing the smile of a stranger at the market. But when we believe nothing new is coming, we stop looking. And when we stop looking, we miss the small magical details that make life feel real. So I ask you, when was the last time something surprised you in a good way? When was the last time you did, tasted, or thought something for the very first time? If it's been a while, that's okay, but it doesn't have to stay that way. Even today, something small and beautiful is waiting just outside your routine. You don't need permission to find it, you only need to look up. If this speaks to you, drop the word hope in the comments, because curiosity doesn't belong to the young. It belongs to the open-hearted. And now, as we reach the end, I want to leave you with one quiet truth. It's never too late to care for yourself, your body, your heart, or your spirit. Sometimes the smallest shifts bring the biggest peace. Whether it's picking up an old hobby, releasing a heavy friendship, or simply taking a new path to the mailbox. These gentle choices matter. They remind the world and yourself that you still matter. If something in today's video touched you, I'd love to hear what it was. Which part made you pause, reflect, or feel seen? Or, if words are hard right now, just type hope in the comments, because that one word carries so much meaning. And if this message spoke to your heart, hit subscribe, turn on the little bell so you don't miss what's next, and share this with a friend who might need it today. Wherever you are, I hope your next cup of tea is warm, your breath feels a little lighter, and you remember, even in stillness, your story is still unfolding. Take good care, and I'll see you in the next video.